And, uh, and today we are in day 43 of Enlightenment on No Death series, which we've been doing for 49 days. And friends, today's topic is about children talk about a past life or a previous life by Jim B. Tucker. So before we go into the topic, I would like to read a little bit about Jim. Jim B. Tucker is a medical director of the Child and Families Psychiatry Clinic and associate professor of psychiatry and neurobehavioral science at the University of Virginia. His main research interests are children who seem to remember previous lives and prenatal and birth memories. Jim Tucker is the author of Life Before Life, a scientific investigation of children's memories of previous lives. Jim Tucker, a board certified child psychiatrist, worked for several years on this research with Ian Stevenson before taking over upon Stevenson's retirement in the year 2002. This is a little bit about Jim Tucker. Now, getting into the topic, friends. Children talk about a previous life. Mom, when you were a little girl and I was your daddy, you were bad a lot of times and I never hit you. John had been a practicing Roman Catholic, but he had believed in reincarnation and he had said he would take care of animals in his next life. William said he would be an animal doctor and would take care of large animals at a zoo. William also had a birth defect that seemed to match the fatal wound his grandfather had suffered. John was a retired New York City policeman working as a security guard when he stopped at an electronics store after work one night. He saw two men robbing the store and pulled out his pistol. Another thief behind a counter began shooting at him. John was hit 6 times. One of the bullets entered his back and sliced through his left lung, his heart, and the main pulmonary artery, the blood vessel that carries blood from the right side of the heart to the lungs to receive oxygen. He was rushed to hospital but did not survive. 5 years after John died, Doreen gave birth to William. William began passing out soon after he was born. Doctors diagnosed him with a condition called pulmonary valve atresia, in which the inadequately formed wall of the main pulmonary artery prevents blood from traveling through it to the lungs. In addition, his heart's right ventricle had not formed properly as a result of the valve problem. William underwent several surgeries. Although he will need to take medication indefinitely, he has done quite well. Researchers at the University of Virginia have been studying cases like Williams for more than 45 years. Ian Stevenson, who passed away in the year 2007, started the work when he was a chairman of the Department of Psychiatry. When he came to the university, Stevenson had published extensively in medical and psychiatric journals, but he also harbored an interest in parapsychology after he learned of 5 cases in India of young children claiming to remember previous lives. Stevenson went there in the year 1961 to investigate. He stayed for 4 weeks and discovered 25 cases. He achieved similar results in Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, and realized that this phenomenon was much more common than anyone had known. Stevenson investigated more of these cases from various parts of the world, and the year 1966, the American Society for Psych- Psychical Research published his first book on them, 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation. Stevenson stepped down as chairman of the Department of Psychiatry in the year 1967 to focus full time on this research and created the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia to carry on the work of reincarnation research. Over the past 4 decades, researchers associated with the division have investigated more than 2,500 cases of children who say they remember previous lives. The cases seem to occur most often in cultures with a belief in reincarnation. India, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Lebanon, Thailand, and Burma or Myanmar have revealed most of them. However, cases have been found wherever anyone has looked for them. Stevenson published a book of European cases, and numerous ones have been found in the United States as well. They often share several features. One scale measuring the strength of a case is based on four features. Now, the first feature is children's statements about the previous life. Second is the presence of birthmarks or birth defects. The third is behaviors appear related to the previous life. Now, the fourth is the distance between the child's family and the family of the previous personality. Now, the first, the past life statements. When they are 2 or 3 years old, the children in these cases often begin to describe a previous life and usually stop by the age of 6 or 7. They talk about their memory spontaneously without the use of hypnotic regression. Some are able to recall the memories on demand, but others need to be in a certain frame of mind to access them. They describe recent lives, usually quite ordinary and in the same country, with the median interval between the death of the previous individual and the birth of the child at only 16 months. The one part of the remembered life that is often out of the ordinary is the mode of death. 70% recall death by unnatural means. Some children say they were deceased family members, while others say they were strangers in another location. When those children give enough details, such as the name of that location, people have gone there and indeed identified a deceased individual, the previous personality, whose life appears to match the child's report. Now, the second thing is the birthmarks and the birth defects. Many of the children have birthmarks or birth defects that appear to match wounds, usually fatal ones, suffered by the previous personalities. Stevenson published a 2 volume set of more than 200 such cases. For example, a girl who was born with markedly deformed fingers remembered the life of a man whose fingers were chopped off. A boy with only stubs for fingers on his right hand remembered the life of a boy in another village who had lost the fingers of his right hand in a fodder chopping machine. A boy with a birthmark on the back of his head, which was small and round like an entry wound, and a birthmark toward the front of his head, which was larger and more irregularly shaped like an exit wound, remembered the life of a teacher who had been shot from behind and killed. Another girl who remembered the life of a man who had undergone skull surgery had what Stevenson called the most extraordinary birthmark he had ever seen, a 3 centimeters wide band of pale, scar like tissue that extended around her entire head. Now, the third thing is themes of past life statements. When children talk about a previous life, they tend to discuss events at the end of the life, and almost 3 quarters of them give details about the death. They're also more likely to talk about people from the end of that life rather than earlier. So, a child who describes dying as an adult is more likely to talk about a spouse or children than about parents. In addition, 20% of the children in these cases describe memories of events between lives. Some say they stayed near to where the previous personality had lived or died, and they may describe a funeral or other events involving the family. One girl in Thailand, Ratana, complained that her ashes had been scattered rather than buried. In fact, the previous personality had wanted her ashes to be buried under the Bo tree at her temple, but the tree's root system was so extensive that her daughter had been unable to bury the remains and scattered them instead. Another child, Bongkush Promsin, said he spent 7 years hovering over a bamboo tree near where the previous personality's body had been dumped after he was killed. One day he tried to go to his previous mother but got lost in the market. While there, he saw the man who became his current father. Bonkush followed him home to join his family. Bonkush's father had in fact attended a meeting on a rainy day in the area Bonkush reported during the month when Bonkush was conceived. Now, the fourth thing is past life behaviors. Many of these children act in ways that appear connected to the lives they describe. Some show emotions toward various members of the previous family that are appropriate for the relationship that the previous personality had with them. The children may be differential towards previous parents or a spouse, but bossy toward younger siblings of the previous personality, even though those siblings are presently much older than the child. These emotions usually dissipate as the children grow older, but there are exceptions. In at least one case, Maung Ai Kau of Burma, the child grew up and married the widow of the previous personality. Many of the children exhibit phobias towards the mode of death of the previous personality, especially in cases involving a death by unnatural means. These are particularly common in drownings, with 31 out of 53 showing a fear of being in water. Some show likes and dislikes that are similar to those of the previous personality. For example, when Stevenson and Jürgen Keil studied 24 cases of Burmese children who claimed they had been Japanese soldiers killed in Burma during World War II, they found that some of them complained about the spicy Burmese food and asked for some food instead. Some of the children also show an unfortunate interest in addictive substances such as alcohol and tobacco if the previous personality consumed them. Children often play in ways that seemed connected to their past life reports, and this usually involves the occupation of the previous personality. One boy became preoccupied with his play as a biscuit shopkeeper and neglected his schoolwork to the point that his academic performance never recovered. Occasionally, children will repeatedly reenact the death scene of the previous personality, appearing to show the same kind of play as children with post traumatic stress disorder. When children report past lives as members of the opposite sex, they often show behaviors appropriate for that sex. At times, the behaviors are extreme enough to warrant a diagnosis of gender identity disorder. Although the cross gender behavior may continue into adulthood, most of these children grow up to lead perfectly ordinary lives. In recent years, the research has expanded beyond individual cases to include examination of groups of cases. At the University of Virginia, each case is rated on 200 variables, and this information is then entered into a database. It's a long range, ongoing project, but enough cases have been entered so that certain features can be analyzed. One scale measuring the strength of the case is based on four features: children's statements about the previous lives, the presence of the birthmarks or birth defects, behaviors that appear related to the previous life, and the distance between the child's family and the family of the previous personality. The scale was applied to 799 cases and showed, for example, that the apparent strength of cases was not affected by the initial attitude the parents had towards their child's statements, meaning that parents' enthusiasm did not make a case appear stronger than it actually was. It also showed that in the stronger cases, children started talking earlier about a past life, were more emotional when discussing their memories, and showed more facial resemblance to the deceased individuals. Another study involved the report some children made about events occurring during the interval between the death of the previous personality and their own birth. It showed that compared to those who did not have such memories, The children who described these interval memories made more statements about the previous life that were verified to be accurate, recalled more names from the previous life, had higher scores on the strength of case scale, and were more likely to give the name of the previous personality and accurate details about the death. Close analysis of 35 such cases in Burma showed that these interval memories could be broken down into three parts: a transitional stage, a stable stage in a particular location, and a return stage involving a choice of parents or conception. The descriptions by the Burmese children were compared to the reports of near death experiences made by patients. They overlapped in many ways with Asian near death experiences and had features that were similar to the transcendental feature of Western near death experiences. The study suggested that interval memories and near death experiences can be considered examples of the same overall phenomenon of reports about an afterlife. Psychologist Don Nitifer had evaluated 15 American children reporting past life memories, and in yet to be published data, he finds them to be quite intelligent and psychologically healthy. None of these studies indicated any mental illness. So, this is from the book Friends Shift at the Frontiers of Consciousness. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, friends. As yesterday, Sharu was speaking about her own experience with one of her clients or one of a person who came to her sharing about that girl child who was having this birthmark on her head. Yes, and I would also like to share one experience. It's not about exactly the past life, but when we were living in Egypt, we used to go to schools. We used to go to schools and give meditation sessions. And in one of the schools we went, we asked all the children to sit on the ground. You know, like there was a playground, and there were around 500 kids, like aging from 4 to 12 or 13 years old. They were all sitting in the ground, and there have been music played. We meditated for 15 minutes, and after 15 minutes, there was a small boy, very small boy, say around 4 or 4.5 years old. He came to his teacher crying, and since they speak Arabic, I don't understand. The teacher was translating it to me that uh, the boy could see his parents in this life, because this boy has been orphaned. He's now in staying in the orphanage, so he has been abandoned. And he mentioned in a very detailed manner, and how his parents are, like everything he had mentioned. And he started, he really became emotional and he started crying. So yes, friends, this is very true that kids do remember their past lives, or all these emotions that they show. But we should never stop them, whatever is happening to them. And if they're speaking, looking somewhere, or if they're recollecting something at that tender age, we should not say, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. Like, we should never interfere in that. We should always be watching, witnessing whatever they are doing, watching their behaviors. If there is anything that we could do after that act is done, after they speak, or they speak to the air, or like a lot of things they do, because I have my very good friend's daughter. Her name is Ananya, and we've been witnessing her very closely, like how her behaviors are. She's 11 months old, and it's very important that we should not interfere of what is going through them to them. So instead, we should nurture it. We should help them not not to get interfered with their life. Yes. So this is what I would like to share, friends. And if there is anybody who would like to share, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Yeah, and I also remember that when I was very little, my mom was telling that I used to close my eyes and walk. I u- I have this habit of closing my eyes, and I know where exactly is the other room, or like in how many steps I can reach there, or how to reach the kitchen, and like all these things I have. So she was telling that I used to do a lot like that, and later she had read this book called Old Path, White Clouds, and in that book it is mentioned that one of the Buddha's teachings is is closing the eyes and walking with awareness. And when she told that, wow, it's like a huge revelation to me, because I was not knowing what I was doing at that time, but later it got confirmed. So it's really nice to know. Yes, we might be doing so many acts like this when we were kids knowingly, or some kids like these children, they know, some children they do not know. So yes, we do remember at that tender age our previous lives. So yes, Ram, please go ahead.
It was a wonderful article, Madhu. So it's very well, it's a continuation, obviously, right, to every article that we heard all these days. And particularly today is more speaking about kids, how they remember, and what it means for parents who have experienced it, right?
Mhm.
Um, so even a reflection that just passed through was, what should I call myself? Myself is Ram plus Ibrahim plus something plus something plus something plus something plus something. So that was a nice reflection. Even how we define ourselves is not just by what we remember now. And then coming back to the topic of parents and kids, I think today we should hear from parents here
Mhm.
on if they had certain experiences of this kind, or what was that shift that came now hearing this topic. If any parents here would volunteer to share. Thank you.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Punita, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I don't know whether it is about the same thing, but as Charu mentioned about a girl having a sign like a V sign on the forehead,
Mm,
my
mm,
younger son, when he was born, he had a sign on the forehead like a tilak,
mhm,
like the whole leaf. So, for like we thought it was like just a birthmark, I think you could literally find as if somebody has done a tilak on his shape, same shape of
mm,
you.
mm,
So that time, I never knew about all these things, so we didn't go. And gradually, after a few years, it just disappeared. Sometimes you can see it when he gets a little aggressive, or like he's very active, or
mm,
something like that. You can see it. So yeah, I don't know if it is something about any of our ancestors or anybody, but yeah, he does have that mark. Like now, it has become quite less. But when he was young, small, yeah, it was quite obvious.
mm,
People used to tease, yeah, your son has come with a tilak on his forehead, like that
mhm,
way. It's like they used to always tell us that. So
mm.
yeah, that he has that. He used to have that mark.
Oh, it is almost similar to yesterday's Sharu's experience.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, yeah. So that's why it clicked me. Till now, it never clicked me that it can be something related to,
Mm,
like, something like this. I thought maybe, yeah, it might be a birthmark, or
mm,
sometimes it happens.
mm.
So, yeah, but then since she related that, so I was like just, and she also mentioned that maybe gradually it
It
goes
fades.
after a few, yeah, it fades away after a few
Mm,
years.
mm.
So then, yeah, it has faded after a few years.
That's great to know, Punita.
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Eh, yes, Madhvi, please go ahead.
Good morning, Madhu. Good morning, everyone. It's a very wonderful article, actually. I was still in a sleepy, I should say, but I could like really um, get all your readings how it is, and it's very wonderful. As Ram just now said, the kids play really a vital role in our lives, and he requested if anyone can share their experiences. I don't know from my own kid. I did not observe it because I have to leave her in the play school and I have to work. So I really didn't have so much time to spend with her and get it. But I had some other kids, I would say, when I was teaching, when I was young, and they were like all kindergarten kids and first class. I used to take tuition. So at that time, there was one boy, a very small boy, and his handwriting was very, very bad. And he used to make them really write good, because when handwriting is really good, then I used to feel that they can get good marks. Most of the kids, they don't get the good marks only because of the handwriting, even though they know very well they cannot write properly. So I used to make them write, and then he used to say, you know, I asked him to call me baby because everybody knows in my society is like a baby. So they used to call me Akka. I said that no, you call me. That was that little boy also used to ask me. I mean, I asked him to call baby. Then he used to say, "You cannot be a baby because I am a very small kid. You are my sister in my previous life, you know." That's why you are here to teach me and help me. See, I got so many good marks. He always used to come and give me kisses, you know. I
Wow.
it was I that was the best profession I had in my life. I used to think that I just started that teaching, like taking tuitions, because my my dad was not there, so I have to support myself with this finance. And I was very young, like I was just 10th, but everybody thought that okay, she can teach really good, and all my society kids used to come, and they used to give only 50 rupees per month, you know. And that kid used to say that, like, Akka, you were my previous Akka, that's why you are scolding me, you are nourishing me, you are giving me food also, you're getting me the clothes also, because his clothes were so dirty actually. I used to make him remove, and I used to wash it and give a next day this clothes. I always used to ask the parents to give two rendu jatalu, like a pair, and and somehow that little boy, you know, he's a Muslim boy, and he even today he still remembers me. He is in Dubai, and he
Wonderful.
says that if Didi is coming, ask her to meet me. And he's having two kids, and he's really great guy now, because he's in Dubai, and I don't know what he's working, but he keeps on asking my parents. I mean, my house, it seems like my brothers, where is Didi? Where is Didi? And I want to meet her. I want to get her. Oh, if she's in Germany, then I'll also go to Germany. It's not a big deal for me. Let I was like, oh my God, like for
Yeah.
me to understand all these things, it was very far away actually, Madhu. But when you're reading, I mean, when I joined the sessions, I was like thinking I was so ignorant, and to understand them so correctly, to be more precise, or to be more connective to those things. Now I'm trying to connect all those things when you're reading it with my whole conscious. When I close my eyes, I could see that little boy, how he used to kiss me and love me. And even if I beat, he used to bear also. And then he became the best form of him. And it was only just 5 to 6 years he was with me. That's it. After that, maybe I don't know. I was not in touch anymore because I left, and then, but still he remembers, and he could say, that means the past life, what you're saying now, wow, it is connected somehow. Now I understand when
Yes.
Ram also says that we all masters and souls are somehow connected. I really believe in it, really. Today,
Great.
I'm really so thankful that I could really understand each and every moment of my life. I wouldn't. I just used to, like, this is my face. Okay, it's fine. It's forget it and leave it. But now I understand each and every moment, and if I come across anything, I cherish it, and I do it with a very conscious now. So
Very
thank you
good.
so much for the
Very
platform,
good.
and
Very good,
uh,
Madhu. Great experience. Thank you for sharing.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful. Yes, Pavani garu.
Hi, good morning, all of you. Uh, Actually, it is not about my son is shouting. Is it a disturbance?
No,
Otherwise,
no,
I'll
not
go
at
to.
all. Not at all. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. Uh, So I don't have any experiences with my kids, but right now I'm staying in Haryana, Faridabad. My neighbor who stays just in front of my house. They have two children. One is a son, and after that they have a daughter. And the son, right from the childhood, he has many issues in developing his mental abilities and all. At 4 years of age, he started recognizing his parents. Actually, I was very inquisitive of asking. I was very I used to feel very concerned about him that something uh, a special care has to be given. This is not about handling him at the physical level. This is the parent should get that spiritual awareness. I used to
Mm.
constantly feel. So gradually the son was developing, but right now he is you previously no school accepted him, but luckily one school accepted to give admission, and he was doing well. Suppose he's 6 years of age, he used to study 2-3 years lower class, and the things were going on well. And his mother also started meditating. She used to come to my house. Everything was going on well. Suddenly, in their house, they didn't feel comfortable with meditation, because all of the other family members are very, very orthodox. So seeing his wife, that husband, and seeing his wife following a guru, they felt that something is not correct. So they insisted her to probably stop all these things, following all these things, and just meditate. Don't follow any society or like that. So actually, I felt that when the mother meditates, she will be connected to his soul, and the thing which is needed would be done. And the kid who is struggling a lot, he might have got that clarity.
Mhm.
And that boy also used to meditate. They were wonderfully meditating. Suddenly, everything stopped. Now the mother is meditating, but the son right now, he is 11 to 12 years old, I think. He started speaking about I'm though he never went to Telangana or Chennai or any other place. He doesn't know the map also. Nothing he knows. He speaks about, I belong to Telangana, I like Telangana.
Mm.
You die, as he says to his mother, you die, you go away, and everybody left me. And that words, according to his intellectual ability, doesn't coordinate. So
Mm.
I always wanted to ask Sharu ma'am, and to can she give some guidance to them? But for this also they have to believe in it. So what is this? What is all this? Now he's taking antidepressants and tranquilizers, like medicines, and now he's getting other complications also. They're giving medicines to make him sleep at this tender age. Otherwise, he cannot sleep. That is a condition now.
Yes,
Thank you, and sorry for
thank you.
taking so much of time. I
No, no,
couldn't
no.
explain
That's
it
okay.
much better.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, Sharu.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Sharu.
Hi, ma'am.
Amni Garu, actually, I need to actually examine everything, and I have to read everything about this child, because unless and
Yes.
until I know everything about the child, I will not be able to give you a proper guidance that what exactly it is, why is he suffering, and what is the past connection. But for that, the parents have to be, in a
Okay.
mode where they are accepting this, they are receiving it. Then only will I be able
Yes.
to give them proper guidance.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in case if there is, a way where they can reach out to me, probably I'll be able to guide them properly, because I need to know the nitty and gritties of all these things.
Yes, yes. I think you stay in New Delhi, isn't it?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
I got to know recently while Patri sir was speaking to you. So I thought I was really eager to make that meeting happen. But prior to that, I have to convince them. They have to accept it openly. All this is
Yes,
there, but suddenly this topic has come, so I felt like I should speak
yes.
because
No,
many
thank you.
children are suffering like this.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, Pamni Garu, in case if you feel that those people, the ones whom you know, they can connect with me, then probably I'll be able to give them more clarity and guidance once I know everything about the child.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamni Garu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madhuma.
Thank you so much, Pamela. Yes, Sharu.
I'm feeling so happy today because everybody is coming up with the experience of their child and children they know, or maybe the friends' children they know, because there are so many talents and skills that they bring from the past. And it is also being said that children are the one who are very much connected with their spirit guides and the angels and their past lives. And so I'll tell you the experience of my son, who is my younger son, who is now 16. So at the age of 8 and 9, he had a lot of, you can say, an interest in the Japanese culture.
Mhm.
And he's very much attracted towards Japan. And if you'll just meet with him ever, if you get an opportunity, you will feel that he's a very calm child. He doesn't talk. He's always in the mon. He doesn't talk much. He's a man of few words, but the kind of wisdom that he shares is amazing. He's already written a book when he was 13. He wrote a book also, and in few days, it was like 3 or 4 days, he was able to read 2 scripts of Japan also, a Japanese scripts. So these were certain things that were coming up. And when I sat and meditated, I also got to know that what is his connection with Japan or with me.
Mhm.
So now, right now, I'm very much encouraging him that, if he has that kind of a familiarity and that interest in going to Japan, then he must go there. So there are so many things that are coming up, and he is like a mature soul. When you talk to him, if he's going through something as far as his emotions are concerned, he will just hold my hand and he'll say, "Mom, I'll take care of that." So you will never see a grin on his face that he is nervous or he is shaken by certain things. He will always have a calm stretcher. He will always have a calm temperament. So as compared to his elder brother, so I see a little difference in him, because there is so much that he has got from the past life, which it's he's like just a saint or a sage. But what happened was, when he was 8 years old, he used to see the angels from his open eye. He used to interact with them. But then slowly and gradually, what happened was, he did not like it, and he stopped doing that. He stopped meditating. He stopped doing that. So this gift was being taken away from him. So I asked Patri sir, so that this is what has happened. So Patri sir just told me, in time, if he's ready and if he wants to, then it'll come again. Otherwise, let him do what he wants to do. So there are so many things in the children. If you start observing, as Madhugaru and Ramgaru are saying, that they observe Ananya. So there are so many things coming up. If you start observing your children, you get to learn so much, which we can inculcate in our lives. So I am doing it with my younger son, not just the younger son, but the elder son is also teaching me a lot. He has also taught me a lot. But yes, when I talk about the younger son, I see a lot of past talents and skills that he has brought from there, that wisdom that he has brought from there, which he is using it right now. He doesn't know anything about that. But yeah, because I have gone through this and I know I have the knowledge of that. So yes, I can just relate it. So this is what I wanted to say. And when the time permits, if the time permits, then I would definitely, would like to read what Dr. Newton had to say for Indiraji's question, because I had asked him. So once all the experience sharing is done, then I will definitely share that.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
Sharu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharu.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, friends. That was really wonderful, wonderful listening to Sharu's experiences. And regarding this, I would like to also share about one of our friends in Switzerland. She's a great healer now. I mean, like a medical healer in the sense, like if there is something that the hospital, the doctors cannot do, they immediately call this friend of mine to support them in their operation, like energetically. So yes, she was doing that. And when we went to Switzerland in 2013, she was just sharing her experiences, like how her parents were not accepting, like when she was very young, in very young age, she was having all kinds of like what do you say this, I think she might have got all this from the past lives, that if she sees a person, she can see the x-ray of that person, what is wrong in that person energetically. So when she used to tell all these things to her parents when she was very little, her parents ignored her. They think that she is crazy, and they asked her to stop. Like, what are you doing? Don't stop all these nonsense. So yes, friends, we might have seen in our kids, like they have so many talents. We should, as I before also said, that we should nurture it. We should not say that, hey, what are you doing? This is wrong. This is not the way it should be. No, we should never say that. We should instead encourage them. We should sit with them patiently and ask them patiently, what is it, like what is it that you want to tell, like, and then slowly they open up. The more we say that, what are you doing, so they become closed and closed, and they feel very, what do you say, inferior, and they don't show their real self, or they hide themselves. So it is very important. This is why spiritual parenting is very important, to know the to know how to be with the children, and to know how to deal with all those things the children go through as a parent. So yes, friends, it's very important. And yes, Vandana, please go ahead, Vandana.
Good morning, everybody. It was
Mhm.
lovely listening to the reading. So, as Charu was saying, something clicked in me. I would say it's synchronicity, or I don't know. So, my younger one is also 16. She is a girl.
Mhm.
So, she also has amazing talents. She is also totally calm. We call her the wisest person at home. She comes up with so much of wisdom, something which we cannot even think. She comes up with that, and she is an multi-talented girl. Unlike me, I have this be that I have to learn from a teacher. She is
Mhm.
directly the opposite. She is the self-help types. She would,
Mhm.
during this lockdown period, she picked up learning Spanish on her own, and without a day's break, now she can, I would say, not very fluently, but fluently speak, understand, and write as well. It is all her own. She has done it. So
Wow.
as Charu was saying, there's some Japanese connection with this son. Now when I sit and see, there is some, I think, Spanish connection which I have not actually explored, but now when she was saying, it just clicked to me. She talks of Spain, yes, and she
Mhm.
loves eating Spanish food, and now this fascination for learning Spanish.
Mm.
So I would
Wow.
explore in meditation, yes. And she
Wonderful.
picks up 3 4 books at a time. It is
Mm.
difficult for a normal person to read one book and focus on that, but she would pick up 4 books. She would read
Mm.
from one, the second, the third. I just don't understand how she grasps it all.
Wonderful.
She has amazing knowledge of astronomy.
Mm. Mm.
He is so good at sketching and painting. Same with cooking. I'm really amazed at the kind of girl she is.
Wonderful. Wow. Wow.
So
When
I
it
would,
comes Yeah, when it comes to book Vandana, I remember Patrisa reading 2-3 books at a time. He always have 2-3 books in his bag, and he keeps reading. Sometime that book, sometime this book. That's great to know that your daughter is doing the same.
And I think uh, Pavani ji was saying something about the pain she feels for her neighbor's son. And the other day, Madhavi was also telling that she felt a lot of pain seeing those hens in that
Mm,
slaughterhouse or
mhm.
farm. I don't actually recollect where
The
she
farm.
saw it, but she saw that there was a lot of pain. I think it was a slaughterhouse only. And she was in a lot of pain. So I would just like to say that there are certain situations which are beyond our control. So in these situations, we can just utter a prayer for these people. Physically, we may not be able to do anything, but yes, our prayers go a long way in helping. It is a kind of helping hand that we extend to these people, these souls. So that is something which we really should be doing if you're not able to do anything physically.
Mm.
And one more thing is that in such situations, we can also connect to the souls. There is a thing called soul connect, soul communication. We can invite the soul of that person in front of us and we can just communicate. It is a very easy way, very simple way, and we can put across what we feel and to that person instead of going a very long way, raising a voice, doing stuff. At times that is also not possible. So this is a very beautiful technique to
Mm.
do. And I remember my younger one was very much afraid of lizards. And whenever
Mhm.
she saw lizard, she was after my life, just throw this lizard out, make her out of the room. My maid used to get a broom and kind of, shoo her out. So what I did was actually I connected to the lizard and I was tell her that, see, you're not a welcome guest inside the house. I don't want to harm you, hurt you. So just please leave on your own, so that there is no harm done to you. And I've connected this way to, kind of a lot of situations where I cannot physically do things. So it has really helped me. And yes, looking forward to what not Dr. Newton has to say about
Yes.
India's this thing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much,
Pavani.
Pavani. Like what you said to me, and yes, I really do pray a lot. Actually, I wake up 5 and I do a lot, especially in the Dhanurmasam. I don't know how many of you know that that's especially the 40 days prayer. I'll do it like I'll wake up at 4:30, and I'll do it for the Vishnu Sahasranama and Vishnu Puja to get healed. But with the meditation, I think I have to heal me first because it's so much pain inside of me. You're right. The chickens and the slaughterhouses, when I see that, I get so much pain unknowingly. Even if somebody don't say that, also I can feel that. And you're right. I think thank you so much for bringing me that. But one thing I really would like to have your number probably. I'm just trying to chat. You can chat with me your number because
Yes.
you said that you can connect the soul, saying that you can pray also, and then you said that you can connect the soul and to soothe. Maybe I don't know how to do it. Even I'm just new to the meditation also. If you can tell me or how to guide me, then I can really do it probably, especially for those chickens who comes up in my dreams also saying that please help us. If not, then I don't know what will happen to you. This is something I really experience a lot actually. And recently I'm experiencing a lot about the other animals who are just coming towards me, like the horses or what do they want to say actually? Everybody says that they're just coming for the food, Madhavi. But I see piles of food in front of them actually. But what are they and what are they communicating? And I cannot understand their silence, or maybe I can learn how to read their silence actually. So it would be really helpful for me. Thank you so much, Pavani. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you. Thank you, Madhu. Yes. Yes, Vandana, if you can.
Yeah, it's very simple actually, Madhvi. It's very simple when we sit for a meditation or when we are in a very calm frame of mind. We can just close our eyes and we can just, say a prayer that I lovingly invite the soul of such and such person or animal to, I would like to for a communication with this soul.
So that so you can just experience, you can just feel that soul of that person or that animal in front of you. And it is just you ask him and you'll get the answer. You ask him, you'll get the answer. Just like in meditation we do, it is very simple. So I've done that with my husband also, actually, at times when we have fights, and earlier when we used to have some issue differences of opinion, and I'm not able to say anything. So I would just sit down, calm myself, and I would invite the soul, and I would talk to the soul that, of course, if I'm sorry, I would say sorry. If I am angry, I would ask for questions, and calmly I would receive answers from his soul. It is like that. You have to listen. It is the energy, basically. You have to connect to that energy. So that is how it is. I'll share my number in the chat, but it is very simple. It is very simple. Just the way I told.
Mm.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vandana. Thank you. Yes, Pavni garu.
Hi, ma'am. I'm
Hi.
Madhumita.
Hi, Madhu. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to share my experience.
Mhm.
So when I was a little kid, so like 7, 8 years old, my third eye used to pull. There was a pulling sensation whenever I used to see sharp objects, or whenever we used to eat at the dining table. I couldn't look at the utensils because it was so painful. So I would always remove the utensils, and nobody in our house had nobody in
okay.
our house had a meditation or knowledge about meditation. So everybody used to laugh at me, and they used to say that you're just thinking a lot. Not my mother, but my father and other relatives. So that used to happen with me. And even in class, when I used to concentrate at what the teacher was saying, my third eye used to pull so much that I couldn't even focus at
Focus.
her. And whenever I used to see faces, I mean faces of other people, my third eye used to pull at random situations. It started pulling, and I didn't even know what was happening. So when I started doing meditation, then I realized that my third eye was pulling, my third eye was open, actually. So that's why I used to experience it as a little kid. So
Wow.
now, after hearing everybody's experience, I remembered that, and I wanted to share that. Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Madhu.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yes. So you got it from the previous times, previous lives, that this
Yeah.
quality. Wonderful. Great. Great to know.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ma. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Sharu. Please go ahead, Sharu. Now we can go ahead with Indraji's question and
Yeah.
answer.
Yes, but
Yes.
before that, I just want to add one more thing, because I've been communicating with the animals for quite some time now. Madhuri, it is very, very important for each one of us to understand that the animals have a soul, they have a free will too. So whenever you are trying to connect with the soul, the first request that you have to make is that I want to heal you. Would you like to be healed? So you have to take the permission, the prior permission from the soul has to be taken, because you cannot heal anybody and everybody. You cannot do that, because you come in there, you start interfering into the soul purpose or the karmas of that particular being. So just as we cannot heal humans, similarly, we cannot heal animals. And if they want to be healed, you have to ask them, request them whether they want this kind of a service from us. Because when I do that, I first ask that this is the situation I'm seeing. Are you ready to get healed? Do you want any healing? Do you want me to do something for you? Then if I get in the communication, if I get a yes answer, that's fine. If I get a no answer, then I do not then move forward. So this is a very important thing, because these souls also have their free will. So you have to ask them before healing them or giving your healing, or or prayers. Definitely it works, but if you're trying to heal them, you want to talk to them, so first you have to take the permission of that being, whether they are in a mood to talk to you. Because sometimes it happens when I'm talking to the dogs, the stray dogs, or I'm talking to the trees, they're not in a mood to talk to me at that time. They say, please come after, an hour or so, then we will converse. So they have their own world. We cannot just go and interfere into their world unless they permit us to talk. Right? So this is something that I've learned from the angels. This is something which I've learned, and this is something my understanding, and this is what I apply.
Thank you so much, Charu.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But I only want to understand before healing them also, but I want to understand why they are popping up. Like what are they wanted to say actually? Like as I
See-
said the last time, all the hens were coming and then I could see there was a pile and huge food left there, but they were not eating. So most of the animals, for me, my understanding, they come for the food only because they see in us to whether they got it. But I
So-
was thinking that there was something else. Then I observed it clearly. Then I saw this feathers and the whole body was like this, and it was some kind of a disease probably. So I could see, and they were just standing and just like looking at me as if there is another hen or there is a big another the the really a big object which were very fascinated and looking at me, and like I was, oh my god. But you're right, but I don't know how to understand or how to connect. I don't know how to communicate also. Leave about healing me. You're right. That's what I want to understand actually. I don't want to go really deep what I can really do it, but at least to understand what they want or what they wanted to say. Just to listen, just to feel them what they wanted to communicate in their silence. That's it. So I thank you so much. I'll keep this one in my mind when I really wanted to pray or something. I'll ask them for the first time whether they want to get healed or not. But let me first understand their silent communication. Then maybe that is another step, probably. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sharon.
you. Thank you,
Thank
Madhavi
you.
ji. Okay, now coming back to Indiraji's question. So he said that as much as there is evidence, I'm just reading it out what he had written to me. As much, this is the question that Indiraji has put. As much as there is evidence that souls sometime close to be born again in the same family to continue with their previous human experience they have had from that family, does this evidence give us a clue for repetition of similar characteristics in the genetics and DNA in the members of the same family? So the reply that Dr. Newton gave was, the genetic line is more of horizontal line, which consists of transgenerational information, which is passed on through DNA. Reincarnation is more of vertical line, which consists of memories of the soul and evolution, which is stored in the Akashic records. Interestingly, in cases of the soul reincarnating in the same family, there is possibility of intersection of familial lineage and reincarnation lineage. And after that, I asked him if he can recommend any book which we can read, which gives or throws some light. So he said, read 20 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation by Dr. Ian Stevenson. Yes. So I think, Madhukaru, you mentioned also this book's name during when you were reading out the article. So he has given this answer. So probably it is more to do with, probably the technicalities of these things, which are very deep. So probably when we are going to read this book, we will get some more clues, we'll get more answers to the questions. That's what he said. So yeah, so this was the answer that Dr. Newton gave.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sharu, for this. Yes. Thank you to Newton, sir, as well. Yes, Indraji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Sarojit. Thank you. Thank you. That shows a lot of clarity. Yes, I think I should read that book, and it gives a lot of food to thought. Really. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to Dr. Newton, who took out the time and who just, gave me the reply to my question. So thank you, Indiraji. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sharu. Thank you for this. Yes, friends. So friends, before we end the session, I would like to tell you that this coming Sunday, May 30th, we will be having Patriji, which is on the 49th day. We will be having Patriji um, to come on this platform and to hear our experiences, to answer our questions. So friends, I would request you all to, if you have any question regarding these topics, please pen it down and ask Patriji on that day. So it will be really nice to hear him answering the questions. So yes, friends. So instead of right at that moment, sometimes we get blocked to what to ask and all these things. So let us all prepare in hand if we have any questions to ask him. Yes, and yes, friends, we will all see each other again in the evening. We will be having a Ram session today in the evening, and but tomorrow morning we will be having another wonderful article by Dolores Cannon by after death activity, about after death activity. So till we see each other, friends, have a lovely day and a lovely evening, and see you all soon. Namaste.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Madhuram. I have one question here.